On July 8th, 2025, and ask the city clerk to please call roll.
Commissioner Henderson,
Present.
Commissioner Smith,
Here.
Commissioner Thomas,
Present.
Commissioner Wilson,
Present.
Mayor Bray.
Present. I would ask Commissioner Wilson to say the invocation and will remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I have deferred to Commissioner Henderson to lead tonight's
Oh,
invocation.
Gracious God, our Father, we again thank you for this beautiful day that you've given us, and we thank you, Father, for the blessings that we right now enjoy. We thank you consistently and constantly for the privilege that you've given us to serve the citizens of this city. We pray, oh God, that you'll not only bless us in our decision-making, but we pray, God, that you'll bless all of those who work with the city and who live in this city. God, we love you and we honor you, and we pray this prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Manager, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Mayor, none this evening.
Okay, so we have three people who are making public comments, and all of these are these folks live out in the area where there was flooding, and this is the third meeting you've been to. We appreciate it. You're welcome, but we're going to choose one person to speak tonight on behalf of everybody. And so, who would that be? Thank you, Mr. Burkhart.
You want Lizzie to read the?
We've had multiple people speaking out, sir, I'm just telling you, we've had multiple people, and you haven't said anything about it till now. We got a lot of people here that want to talk about their personal experiences, but so be it. If that's the rule we have to play by, so be it. So, y'all already know this. I mean, there's only two outlets from the Island Creek Basin. One is the Husband Road Gate. The other is a culvert under Oak Road. Everybody that has paid attention knows the culvert has been damaged for 15 years and it's been blocked for the last 2 or 3 years, plugged on the upstream side. It was reduced to less than 5% of flow, basically a trickle. The gated Husband Road, we found out in the meeting with the city manager and the city engineer and Keith that gate was not closed when the river was predicted to go to 49 feet and rising. It was closed when the river was at 27 feet and not rising, and it was in the middle of the drought at the end of March. We had less than an inch of rain in March, and the gate was closed because of a weather forecast. The bypass ditch, as I said, is closed. Everybody see this? This is Mr. Dowry's place. This is the kind of people that are suffering from this. As I said before, I can pay for my damages. William can pay for his damages. But these people, Robert's having a hard time. And there are 50 more like it. Because somebody chose to dam us in on March the 26th, his words, and make a lake out of Island Creek, but basin. And so what I would ask for you to do, and the Quam was nice enough to tell me that you have to have more than two to have a quorum. I would ask that you come up with some mechanism where the city council, all of the city council members, I know, Bernardo, you said you were interested in getting to the bottom of this 2 or 3 meetings ago. DeQuan, you expressed your repeated interest. The rest of you, I want you to know, and we want to know everything that happened from your standpoint. We want to know. we want you to know. I do know one thing. The guidelines are very clear. The gates are not to be closed until two things are met. The river is rising and the predicted crest is 49 feet. That happened on Friday, April 4th. 30 more seconds?
30 more seconds.
That happened on April 4th. You closed the gate on the 26th of March, or 29th of March, and during that time, 4 inches of water, rainwater backed up. That was 2 billion gallons. By the time the big rain hit on Saturday and Sunday, that number was, I'm sorry, it was 1 billion gallons at that point. There's another billion gallons fell. The number 2 pump stations alone are capable of pumping 313,000 GPM. That's 500 million gallons a day. The number 2 pump station alone could have handled the water that backed up in our area, in Island Creek, and flooded people out like this.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Burkhead. Thank you very much for being here.
Oh, and
City Manager.
I meant to ask any questions, George. I would like to ask questions. I mean, somebody deserves to ask back. I mean, anybody have a question? I'm not speaking.
City Manager, you have any comments?
Mayor, we, as Mr. Burkhead mentioned, we have met with him, the city engineer and I, and our superintendent. We have continued to dialogue with the Corps. Our city engineer has reached out to them to have that continued dialogue, and we have followed the standard operating procedures that have been in place, and we've shared that during that meeting with Mr. Burkhead. So,
Beg to differ on that, sir. Beg to differ.
Yep. And you beg to differ that I shared that with you?
Pardon?
No, I shared that with you in the
Beg to differ that
meeting.
Followed the protocol.
Yes, we did.
You closed the gate per your superintendent. In a drought.
Under our standard operating procedures, yes, we did.
Okay. We'll go ahead and move to the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Commissioners and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. The city clerk will read the items recommended for approval unless a commissioner would like an item removed. So I'd ask the city clerk to go ahead and read the items.
Approve minutes for the June 24th, 2025 Board of Commissioners meeting. Receive and file documents. Reappointment of Kimberly Yates and Ironda Lovelace to the Paducah Human Rights Commission. These terms shall expire July 25th, 2028. Personnel actions. A municipal order adopting contract modification number 3 to the professional services contract with HDR Incorporated for the Paducah Riverfront Infrastructure Improvement Project Build Grant for $287,100 and authorizing the mayor to execute the contract modification and all other documents related to same. A municipal order accepting the bid of Right Way Janitorial Services, LLC, in an amount not to exceed $70,000 for custodial services for public restroom facilities in city parks, with additional services at unit pricing as required by the Parks and Recreation Department, and authorizing the mayor to execute a contract for same. A municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract with Paxton Park Golf Board, DBA Paxton Park Municipal Golf Course, and an amount of $100,000 for facility operations, and authorizing the finance director to issue payment. A municipal order authorizing and directing the city manager to initiate a request for proposals for repairs to the sewer line at the transient boat dock. A municipal order authorizing the finance director to pay Kentucky League of Cities for workers' compensation, liability insurance, and property insurance coverage in a total amount of $1,239,144.92 for the city of Paducah, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same. A municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with Axon Enterprises, Inc. in an amount of $40,508.55 for body-worn and in-vehicle cameras for the fire department. A A municipal order accepting the bid of Minter Roofing Company, Incorporated, for roof and gutter replacement of the Public Works Building in an amount of $168,915 and authorizing the mayor to execute a contract for same. A municipal order authorizing the master intergovernmental cooperative purchasing agreement with Omnia Partners and authorizing the purchase of rollout containers, lids, and additional replacement parts off the Omnia Partners cooperative purchasing contract with Toter Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $200,000 for the Public Works Solid Waste Division.
So moved.
Second. Call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. So we have three municipal orders tonight. The first one is a contract renewal with the Flock Safety, and I'll ask the city clerk to please read, and then our police chief is here to explain.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt a municipal order entitled, a municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute a 2-year contract renewal with Flock Safety for license plate readers for the Paducah Police Department.
So moved.
Second.
Chief?
Good evening, everyone. Just provide a little bit of a summary on what the Flock systems are and kind of where we started and where we're at right now. So we started the program in 2022 with 2 camera systems. Those are license plate readers, if you guys remember that. They scan license plates when they come by and alert us to a variety of different things. I'll touch on that in a minute. So in 2023, we added 4 more cameras for a total of 6. We started off small we kind of wanted proof that they were going to work, they would be successful, and it would be a good value add for us and for our community. We felt like it was, so last year we added an additional 15 cameras for it to be a total of 21. And so what this contract that you have today does is it adds an 11 more for a total of 32. So so far what we've spent on that is each year it's obviously grown a little bit. The first year was $5,700. The next year, fiscal year 24, was $14,000. Last year, all combined, was $64,000, and with this new contract, we would be right at $101,000 for each year for the next 2 years. Also important to mention that a couple of private entities, businesses, have started utilizing these camera systems as well. So if you go to Lowe's, all of their entry points are covered. The West End has 3 cameras, and the South Side has 2. So they've seen that it's value for them for helping with their shrinkage from loss whenever they have some of the traveling thieves, really is what they are, that travel around different stores and steal stuff, so they can program that into their system, and then their store can get alerted to when one of those vehicles comes into their system. And that's actually worked here locally, at least one example that I can remember at the Southside Lowe's, where we were able to catch a couple people that had been traveling around to different Lowe's stores stealing power tools. The majority of the camera systems, they cover the inbound traffic. So our theory behind it is we wanted to, if somebody was coming into our community to commit crime or traveling in a stolen vehicle, we wanted to know that on the front end and not catch them or have an opportunity to stop them from committing crime within our community. Currently, the systems read about 80,000 license plates Monday through Thursday, and then on the weekend it runs up to about 120,000, and on holidays that number can pick up even more. So some of the examples that we have, we've recovered numerous stolen vehicles that have been stolen either here in Paducah or from other places. We've been able to capture some wanted persons. One example of that was an individual that was wanted out of Kenton County, Kentucky, for numerous sexual-based offenses, who was traveling into the Paducah area. The system alerted us to him, and we were able to find him. There was an organized crime ring that was using fake identities, cashing forged treasury checks, basically defrauding banks for thousands of dollars. Our officers were able to utilize that system to track the vehicle that had been used at one of our banks and subsequently identify all the people. And I believe that case is being handled by the federal prosecutors at this point. Recently, the system was utilized by our officers to identify and charge suspects who damaged 12 vehicles in different locations throughout the city. I think a lot of them was on the north side of town, but these folks were just driving around just committing mischief, throwing rocks into vehicles, and they utilize the system to identify them. And so hopefully those folks can get some restitution for that. And then one really important one was our detectives were able to utilize the system to identify an individual who was selling fentanyl that actually led to an overdose death, and that was a couple of years ago when we only had just a few of the cameras.
So, Chief, are you keeping, I mean, you mentioned a lot of the, but are you keeping specific statistics on who we catch, you know, based upon these readers?
We're not necessarily keeping a log of every time that it gets utilized because it's used on a daily basis. So we typically, with the number of camera systems that we have, we'll get 1 to 2 different alerts for things, whether it be a missing person, wanted persons, stolen vehicles are involved, and other offenses.
I'm just wondering if there was a way that we could keep that data. I mean, because that's pretty good information.
Yeah, we try to highlight it anytime that it's utilized. Whenever we do media releases, we highlight that if that system was utilized, just to show how beneficial that it's been.
And this next year, we're going to spend $100,000 total?
Correct, be
Okay.
total. Yes,
Okay.
sir. That includes the ad for this next fiscal year, or the current fiscal year now.
Okay.
Is that 100,000 a year to
Yes, sir.
maintain it up, going? Okay.
Yes, sir. And they're solar powered, and they utilize cellular service, and we don't have to pay for any of that.
I'd say keeping some sort of database so that you know this is costing $100,000. You can know, track it, the results versus the cost, just so you know.
Sure.
'Cause
Yeah, I don't
guess
know what the
At some point, there's a sweet spot where, we have 30 of them?
We currently have 21.
Yeah. At some point, you could have so many that it's not worth the investment, so there needs to be someone looking at that. But my other question was, does the, like Lowe's has their own system, you said, is that tied into the same system that you have? So, or do they have to alert you guys, hey, we've got these thieves coming on our property? How are those tied together?
They have given us access to their camera systems,
Oh,
and so
okay.
this is actually a nationwide network. So we have given access to ours to surrounding agencies. So the sheriff's
That's
department
pretty
has a
good.
few of them out in the county, and so it works really well. Recently, there was some folks from South Carolina that the South Carolina investigators were tracking them and knew that they were coming into the Paducah area and actually had gone past one of our cameras. So they were able to alert us to that of, hey, can you look for this vehicle? They're not necessarily wanted right now, but we need to talk to them about some things.
Does the sheriff's department, do they have any of them?
They do. I think they have 5.
Oh, okay, good.
Are there any fees associated with this, like Lowe's is currently using it, and any other agencies or organizations begin to use it, or any fees coming to the police department?
No, so Lowe's doesn't have access to our cameras. They gave us access to
To
theirs.
theirs.
Correct, because they're a private entity.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much for being here. I wanted to highlight this particular system. Sir, that's,
My question is, did you have any of those cameras at Island Creek during the flood?
I wanted to highlight this because they'd had so much success, in catching, folks. And I thought it was it was an expenditure that was, worth it. And so I wanted to make sure that we were all kind of focused on it. So please call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye?
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Okay, the next municipal order is, as it relates to the possible construction of a spec building in Industrial Park West. We've had a lot of discussions about this, some back and forth with the county on it. And we've had a lot of discussions with the county. We had hoped to be able to partner with the county on this, but that didn't happen. And that primarily didn't happen because the spec building is within the city limits and not in the county. And
Actually, it is in the county. Yeah.
The city's in the county.
It is in the county. Thank you very much for reminding me of that, so. But at any rate, I think that we have received a grant from the state of Kentucky, $2 million to build this spec building. Bruce Wilcox was here a couple of meetings ago and talked about the benefits of a spec building. And it's something that the GPED board has identified as a key takeaway of something that we needed to do on behalf of the community. So from our standpoint, we wanted to move ahead with this and go on and do it completely with the city. I've had discussions with the judge last week and as late as today, and I think that while there was some interest in participating to some degree, we just never came to an agreement. So I think that it's important enough project that we need to move forward, and so I'll ask this city clerk to read the municipal order and then any discussion.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Formalizing the City's Intent to Provide Grant Match Funding for the Construction of a Speculative Building in Paducah."
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion from anybody? I think we're all pretty knowledgeable where we are on it.
I just have a comment that the IDA is a creature of the city and the county, and if the city's funding this entirely, is it appropriate for the spec building to be owned by the IDA? Because should it be owned by the city, I guess is my question, so.
I think
I don't know if that's possible or if that's been investigated, but I would suggest that we look at that, because.
Yeah, I think where it's going to get down to, a discussion is when we have somebody who's interested in locating the spec building, how's that decision going to be made? And because the city is stepping up 100%, I think that's really going to be up to us, and so one of the things that we would have to, put in this is to make sure that as a condition of us doing this is that, there would have to be a vote by this commission before the spec building would be offered to any degree to anybody. And it would be really solely based upon the commission's vote.
It just seems like it should be our asset, on our balance sheet versus IDA's. But that's just, I know, probably some more work or something to think about.
Okay. Ready to vote? Call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. And the last one is the employee concern that came up a couple of meetings ago, and I'll ask the city clerk to please read it.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Issuing a Final Determination of the Board of Commissioners as it relates to an employee concern," presented by Matthew Miser in accordance with City of Paducah Policy HR 43.
Second. Motion, so moved.
Second.
City manager, you want to just give a brief overview of this?
Mayor and Commission, you'll recall that we have administrative policy recognized as HR 43 that allows employees to bring a concern forward, and it starts at the lowest level and trying to work that out there. It does have steps in it that an appeal can be made to the next level up for due consideration. This one started with HR. HR made a determination. Mr. Miser felt that that was an error in determination, and so appealed to the city manager's office. Investigated it myself. I found that the HR director had been correct in her assessment. The concern was specific about when we have our progressive discipline, we often will have the opportunity to start with a counseling session between that supervisor and that employee, and capturing the information from that counseling session in an employee's folder, I found was both appropriate in HR circles, but also it's a benefit to both parties because it does set a record of what had been discussed, and then there's no right for some confusion in the future. So I've made that finding. The policy does allow an appeal to this body if the employee didn't like that determination from the city manager's office. And Mr. Miser took that opportunity to come before you a couple meetings ago and requesting you to review that and come to your own final determination on the matter. And so that's where we are tonight. And this matter was not specific to Mr. Miser. He was asking in relationship to totality of that process of those type of counseling notes going into an employee folder. Yep. So he wasn't asking for any for himself specific.
So I think the commission has, worked hard to make sure we understand this employee concern. And are there any questions from any of the commissioners?
Great.
Okay, so read the motion one more time, please.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Issuing a Final Determination of the Board of Commissioners as it relates to an employee concern," presented by Matthew Miser in accordance with City of Paducah Policy HR 43.
So our vote, what does our vote exactly say?
I would ask Madam Clerk to read the finding there into the record, please, so we have what the vote actually is. That would be section 1, 2, and 3 of that document. I'm sorry, I thought you already had it out.
I have a copy on me here. I can pull it up here.
Here, Lindsay, we pull it out of our,
I think she put copies in all the other files.
In the
I don't
folder.
think I have it in
Is
mine.
this it?
yep.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Sorry to throw a curve at you.
Now therefore be it ordered by the Board of Commissioners of the City of Paducah, Kentucky, that the Human Resource Director and the City Manager appropriately determine that the documentation of an employee counseling session should be kept in that employee's personnel file maintained by the Human Resources Department, because doing so is in the best interest of the employee and the employer. Failure to do so would result in insufficient documentation of the employee's corrective disciplinary history, particularly if the supervisor who conducted the counseling session was no longer employed by the city. Because the first step in corrective disciplinary process is counseling, the city must retain documentation of all counseling in the employee's personnel file, so all future supervisors are aware of the employee's past corrective disciplinary history and can take such information into consideration in determining the next appropriate steps. Furthermore, the retention of this documentation in the employee's personnel file protects the employee from a supervisor misremembering the details of an employee's counseling session to the detriment of the employee. Section 2, that this determination is final, and Section 3, this order shall be in full force and effect from and after the date of its adoption.
Okay, call roll, please.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Thank you, City Clerk. Okay, we have one ordinance to introduce tonight, and I'll ask the City Clerk to please read it.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Extending the Boundary of the City of Paducah, Kentucky by Annexing Certain Property Lying Adjacent to the Corporate Limits of the City of Paducah and Accurately Defining the Boundary of said property to be included within said corporate limits." This ordinance is summarized as follows. The City of Paducah hereby approves the consensual annexation of certain tracts of property contiguous to the present city limits located at 1541 Olivet Church Road and 6615 Blandville Road and containing approximately 2.57 acres.
So moved.
Second.
Josh?
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, Madam City Clerk. Tonight, we have a consensual annexation before you all, and as Madam City Clerk mentioned, it is about 2.57 acres totally on the corner of Olivet Church Road and Blandville Road. There's two different lots that this annexation will be comprised of. The first has a real estate office on it with 3 to 4 employees at this time, and the second lot, 6615 Blandville, behind it is vacant at this time. Upon first reading tonight, their next step that they would like to do is go to the Planning Commission for an R4 zoning designation, which would allow the real estate office to stay there as it's a professional office, and also allow other types of residential development, single-family, two-family, multifamily as well. They're not looking for, in the future, to do anything, no retail, no restaurant, nothing high density at this time. But I would be glad to answer any questions that anybody may have.
Questions? No? Okay,
All right, thank you all.
that's
Thank you,
all we
Josh.
need. I'll ask the city clerk to please call roll. Oh, I'm sorry, that's an introduction, my fault. Okay, we have one discussion item tonight, and we've been working really hard in our solid waste department, making some positive changes on behalf of our citizens, and so we'll ask our director, Chris Yarber, to tell us what's going on.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, Madam City Clerk, Darren. I promise not to bore you with a long slideshow. We'll try to get through this quickly. As you mentioned, we started over a year ago discussing changes in the Solid Waste Division of Public Works. Am I in control of this?
Yep.
Okay, good. We'll go ahead and go to the first slide. Overview of proposed changes. The actual goal of these changes is to expand city services for our residents and continue to increase operational efficiencies. I know over a certain period of time throughout the year, for example, brush collection, depending on the time of year, especially the spring and fall, people are cleaning up their yards. You may have received calls of people concerned that it's taking us a little bit longer to get to the brush and yard debris than we would like. So with these changes, we hope to see several efficiencies that will allow us to serve the community better on a more continuous basis with several different operations. Proposed changes, collection day for curbside recycling. The proposed change for that is curbside recycling will change for each resident and will be collected on the same day that their trash is collected. Currently, we collect curbside recycling on Mondays, and certain residents get it every other Monday. It will still be an every other week deal, but it will go with your trash. We think it will be easier for people to remember to get both rollouts out, and it would just make it easier for the community as we expand curbside recycling. We hope that it expands. You will realize that with some of these changes, we've had an all-inclusive fee now that covers curbside recycling. There is no additional fee, and we hope that will encourage residents to start recycling. Other proposed changes, brush and yard waste service enhancement. We have had many discussions on the best way to handle the brush collection. We've had some operational changes. It will be more of a operation for our street division in Public Works. Previously, it was in our street division, and at some point it was moved from the street division and put back in solid waste, and we think it's just better, more efficiency and better run and operated through our street division, and that way the solid waste division can concentrate on the expanding of curbside recycling and some other things that we'll get to. Effective July 1st, just about a week ago, that's when the charge for curbside recycling went all-inclusive with the trash fee. But it's still a voluntary program. We will only deliver a recycle rollout if you call and register. We hope that if you call and register, it will encourage, and the people that do that will continue to put the correct items in the recycle bin. The mayor and I was fortunate enough to visit the location where the vendor that receives our recycled goods, and they complimented us on the cleanliness of our recyclables, no contamination and things like that, and we want to continue that. We need that to continue that good partnership with them. Currently, we have around 1,800 recycling customers. We'd like to definitely see that number increase. We have around 10,000 accounts, and we'd like to increase that, and we'd like to have everyone in the city recycle. So if you're not recycling, please consider that. The growth rate of 23% since November of 2024 with recycling. So just with us discussing it and getting the word out and some community education, we've already seen an increase. So we hope that this will continue to help us with that.
And I think one thing, pardon me for interrupting you, but one thing that's worth repeating, Chris, is that as of July 1st, there is no charge for recycling.
Correct.
So-
So just call the office. We'll get you set up, get a can delivered to you, and explain to you what your recycling day is. Nothing is changing. Your recycle day currently will still be on Monday. We expect these changes to take place in September, and then that's when your recycle day will match your trash day.
And I make that comment only because I was talking to somebody here a couple of weeks ago, and I said, are you going to start recycling? You know, we've been working a lot on it. And he said, well, I've been thinking about it. I said, well, what's holding you back? He said, I'm going to wait till it's free. So
We've had several citizens call the office and tell us they want to sign up, but don't put them down yet. Wait till July 1st. So that's what we're doing. That's
There we
fine by
go.
me. Whatever it takes.
How does this affect those who live in public housing who don't have rollouts, but just the large?
Correct. We will not be able to service them as far as recycle containers. But most of those individuals aren't paying an individual
Right.
charge as an individual resident, or even some apartment complexes pay their own fee. So that's the difference. We're going to try to work something out for everyone, that we're just not there yet. Okay. Let me change slides here. Again, the recycling will be collected the same day as the customer solid waste pickup, and it will be collected every other week. This is just an example of how that will work. Of course, the green, and this is, the green would be the recycle week. Every resident in the city of Paducah will receive recycling that week. Then we will have the off week where no one will receive recycling, and we're increasing the number of pickups each resident gets for recycling, because it was usually the first and third or second and fourth, and that fifth Monday, if we had one in the month, no one received recycling. This way, it's continuously every other week. So that's a plus. You may ask, well, how can you do that? And what do you do with those folks that are collecting recyclables? What do you do with them in the off week? We've been looking for the opportunity to, and I may have been a slide too far. We've been looking for the opportunity to improve other areas. For example, they can assist with brush pickup if necessary. Currently, we have temps that come to the compost yard and bust leaf bags. As you know, how many leaf bags and yard debris bags we collect. We have to get temps to do that. We don't have the time to do that with the manpower we have. With this setup, our current manpower, the same manpower, will be able to go over there and assist with that, and we'll no longer have the need for temps in those areas. So that's definitely a plus. We have more opportunity for preventive maintenance and truck and equipment cleaning. They are trash trucks, they are solid waste trucks, but we like to keep them as clean as we can, and this will allow us to do a better job of that. Also dumpster and maintenance and rollout maintenance. We have customers, their lids break or their rollout needs to be replaced. We'll be more responsive to those calls and requests to get those changed out. Public containers such as the downtown trash cans, we really don't have the opportunity to get down and get those cleaned up, switch out the liners and things like that. This will be a great opportunity for us to do that as well. So you'll see some improvements because of this throughout the entire city. And also, it will allow for future expansion of bulk item pickup. We've had requests and have been challenged to try to assist the residents more with bulk items, and we think it's a good idea. And we're not doing that currently. That won't take effect September. We hope to roll it out in the future, hopefully at the beginning of next year. That customers that have bulk items that we currently charge for, they will get 1 or 2 free for the year. And after that, we may charge, but at least that couch that they had to replace or the refrigerator they had to replace, as long as there's no coolant in it, I have to throw that in. We'll be able to assist with those. And you see furniture and things currently curbside. Many times customers don't call, they'll put a couch out and we contact the customer, say, is your intent for us to pick it up? If they say yes, we say, well, there's a fee for that. We can do away with that, keep the city clean. That's the main goal. And we think we can do it with our current resources and not affect the solid waste division.
And that comes, that bulk pickup, bulk item pickup is something that we've gotten some feedback from people, citizens, that would like to, have that opportunity. So as Chris has been working through all this, we've been trying to figure out how to make that happen, so.
Definitely be a plus for the community. Proposed brush and yard waste enhancements. Of course, like we said, the city over the years have gone from a call-in basis to a don't call-in basis to call in. We'd like to clarify it and get it straight and move forward. And that would go to, there's no need to call it in. We would get through your neighborhood weekly. And that's, I think and hope that, as Commissioner Smith mentioned at the last meeting, that you've already seen the improvement with the brush collection. This year was a very different year. During the spring, we had 3 tornadic storms come through, so we had a great deal of brush to deal with. So not only did we have our normal issues that caused us to get a little behind with brush, we had these storms that just took it over the top. And I think we've handled it very well, and kudos to the solid waste division and the street division that's been assisting with that. The don't call in, I think people will be happy with not having to call in every time they put a pile of brush out. We think it'll work, and there's no need to call in. City will pick up the brush generated by the contractors. This is a change. Currently, we don't pick up brush if the brush was generated by work completed by a contractor. And there's different views on that, and I understand it, but what we're saying is, if the brush the contractor is putting out for servicing your yard meets the qualifications of brush done by the homeowner, we will pick it up. And I think that would be a plus for the community. Yes, sir.
Hey, I just think it's important that you emphasize this is all proposed and hadn't started yet, because,
Yes.
people's memory is
Yes, sir.
foggy, so.
Yes. This is proposed. With your blessing, we'll move forward. Any tweaks that you may have or any ideas, we'll definitely consider that and try to work it in or get back to you with that. But yeah, these are proposals, but we think we've taken a pretty good shot at it, and we think we can get the program in the direction it needs to go. Proposed guidelines. Large tree limbs, stumps, and trunks greater than 15 inches in diameter, or excuse me, less than 15 inches in diameter. Currently, we looked at other communities, most of them have a limitation of around 3 or 4 inches in diameter. So we're taking substantially bigger pieces than most communities. And the reason we want to do that, the program is a yard maintenance debris. We're kind of expanding that. We understand that every once in a while you'll have a tree to cut down or you'll have more debris than you normally would. So we want to be able to service you. The reason we have to limit to at least 15 or less is because the grinder at the compost yard, it only accepts size so big. So we need to keep it where the equipment will be able to handle it properly. But we think this is definitely an improvement over the way it's written in the ordinance currently. Individual pieces should be no longer than 48 inches in length. So smaller than 15 inches in diameter, no longer than 48 inches in length. We think anything cut to that size is doable for anyone working in their yard or anyone cutting down a tree or limbs. We think that's a decent size for them, not to have to cut it down too small and have more to deal with. The total pile should be smaller than 10 feet in length and 5 feet in height. Now this is the one that's going to get us, because I could say 11 feet or by 6 feet, and there's always going to be something inside or outside of that, but we're trying to give you a visual of what we should be picking up in our program. Anything outside of that is really bigger than what we would want to handle in our capabilities. It's just too time consuming for this to be an additional service with no charge to the citizen. Proposed guidelines, continued bag leaves and grass clippings. Keep each bag under 50 pounds for safe handling. It's currently written in the ordinance. That's just to protect our employees when they have to handle things by hand, that we protect them, their backs, and keep them healthy. Place all yard waste neatly by the street rather than in alleys. We currently try to enforce that we do not pick up debris in alleys. Some of the equipment that picks up the debris in alleys is just too big for the alley, and it ends up being harder than necessary. We think it's reasonable to have them to bring yard debris to the curb, and it makes it more efficient and easier for our staff to pick it up. If the brush or yard waste exceeds the established guidelines, the city may collect it with a minimum fee of $150. That seems like it may seem like a steep fee, but when you talk about contractors cutting certain things down and you're getting outside the limit of what we need to handle, this fee is very reasonable. Very reasonable. We use FEMA rates for that, and hourly fee for the man to do that, and we think that's a reasonable fee for anything outside the guidelines of what we're willing to pick up. Just to give you an example, a visual example of some of the things, these are actually good, clean piles. We want things, the brush, it doesn't need to be any treated lumber or any trash material in it, so it can go to the compost yard. That keeps us from having the additional expense of taking it across the scale and having to pay to dispose of it. This way we can turn it into mulch and sell it to the community, which is a huge, huge success for us. So these are just two examples of what it should look like and what we expect to be able to pick up. Another example here. And these are just two examples of what we shouldn't do. This one won't even fit in the truck, the equipment that we pick it up with, so it's just not possible for us to pick it up. And this is an example of, there was an actual lot that a contractor was clearing off with a bulldozer, and he cleared off the entire lot, and he called and asked could we pick it up, and we were like, that's outside of our scope of capabilities and the work we do. So we want to service everyone we can, but there's situations where we just can't service you. But we can tell you who could, or get you to someone that might be able to help you. Just a proposed timeline if we choose to move forward with these changes and enhancements. Effective September 1st. In July and August, we'd like to update the city ordinance to match what we're doing and what the changes would be. We'd like to finalize it and implement communication plan, and then finalize our operational preparation. We are in the process of ordering additional equipment that we will need to make this a smooth process, and we think we can meet that deadline. We'd like to get a future update to the Board of Commissioners for proposed expansion of bulk item pickup. That's just to move slowly and make sure we got everything scheduled correctly, and then we'll come back and talk about the bulk item pickup and have that be part of our services as well.
Commissioner Smith mentioned, these are not in place yet, but do you want to talk about timing of any of this, or
Yes.
proposed timing?
Yes, we're looking at making these changes effective September 1st.
Okay.
We do have some equipment that we're waiting to come in that will help us with this. We have another knuckle boom that we're ordering that we should be able to get within 30 to 45 days. And that would just give us the equipment we need to make these changes and be able to do what we set out to do.
But we will communicate effectively with everybody when the changes are,
Yes.
actually set to take place,
Yes,
so.
yes. And if you may notice, even beginning last year, we started sending out more flyers directly to the homeowners.
Right.
And that's, to me, that's one of the best ways for us to communicate. We're going to continue to do that because there's always things that are questionable as far as, did they say do this, or what can we put in the recycle? So we're going to do it for yard debris. We're going to do it for trash in general. We're going to do it for recycling, and just keep the public informed as to what they need to do for us to service them better. Anything that we don't do or anything we request that the citizens do is just to help us be more efficient, to help keep costs down, as well as to help us get to them quickly. So and this is a pretty good program. When we compare it to other communities, we think this sets us apart. Any other questions or comments?
Commissioners, we all good?
I just want to brag on you, just you know, you see a lot of people complain about trash pickup and all that, but they're not, generally, they're not city residents. And our refuse department has been, for decades, it's really been a good thing for the residents, and stuff's picked up on time and neatly, and people are polite, and it's just kudos to you.
Thank you, thank you.
You and your team.
I would definitely pass that along to the team. We have employees that do a really good job. They want to do a good job. Thankful for me, they want to make me look good, and I want them to look good too. So we try to do what we say we're going to do, and if we can't do it, we'll see what we can work out.
Well, y'all making each other look good.
Well, thank you.
I think this commission recognizes our refuse workers as essential workers.
No doubt.
I mean, it's an
No doubt.
essential service, you know, for our citizens, and, you know, it helps, you know, the quality of life we have, and we're very appreciative for all your hard
Also, to
work.
mention the street maintenance crews that are assisting with brush, and they're doing a tremendous job.
Yeah.
Tremendous job. We have a lot of people that take good care of their yards. There's a lot of yard debris out on a regular basis, so that's a big service for our community. And then the product we create with it is just phenomenal, with the mulch and premium mulch we create. It sells pretty fast.
Okay, well, thank you very much for being here, Chris.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. I do want it to be noted in the notes that this goes much smoother when you're practicing it in the mirror.
Good job.
That's a good job.
Okay, comments, city manager, any comments?
Mayor, none this evening.
Okay, commissioners, any comments from any commissioners?
Mayor, none this evening.
I do have one, because
Okay.
it was going to eat me up if I didn't, and I hope this isn't an inappropriate time to bring it up from the public comments we received. Because, you know, I'm fresh out of those seats being up here on the commission, so I kind of understand how some individuals feel, and I don't want people to leave here feeling like it's swept under the rug or anything, because, you know, being up here, I know that we discuss these things, you know, we work towards a solution, but the weeks they've been here, I guess they've given good information, but I guess, do we know what the outcome or the desired outcome or solution is, or are we, you know, do we have that in mind, or what, you know, what steps are we taking to make sure that their outcome that they're wanting is, you know, found?
City manager, what are the next steps here?
Well, thank you, Commissioner, for that. As I mentioned earlier, we have had, you know, individual conversations with those we have continued dialogue, our team with the Corps of Engineer about our operations. And, you know, we do look for, as Christian mentioned, you know, in other departments, in this department as well, you know, for efficiencies. You know, ultimately, at the end of the day, you know, the flood wall and the levee is designed to do a certain aspect when it was built. And the standard operating procedures that go into place is to see that that is operated in that manner. And our continued dialogue with the Corps is that we have standard operating procedures that they have signed off on in the past. We continue to follow that, but we also look for opportunities to update those and have that continued dialogue. So to that end, our engineering department has been having conversations with the Corps and saying, okay, this is where we are. This is what, you know, current, you know, event. You can't look at each event and say, we're going to do this exactly the same way for this event. As we found in this last event, the opportunity, or what traditionally happens is with the Ohio River flooding and rising quicker than the others, we actually had 15 inches of water and watershed coming in the opposite direction that flooded out. And so instead of having backup, we had headwaters that came in. And so you can't operate exactly the same way for each event. And so we look at that with conversations with the Corps. Are we doing what we can do best? And we continue to have that dialogue.
Definitely. And it's just because I saw so many new faces, so I wanted y'all to understand that we do have these discussions, and we're not just, you know, sweeping it under the rug, because that was a term from back in the day I used to use, but now that I'm in here, I understand that there's a lot of work that goes into what we're doing.
Well, I think the hard thing about this is there may not be agreement at the end of the day, you know, on what somebody thinks that we are doing and what we believe we are doing. And, you know, we voted in a couple of years ago to allow people to come to a meeting and make public comments and, you know, continue to, you know, voice, you know, their thoughts about things. And So we welcome that. And, you know, I guess to your point, when this many people show up, it does certainly make sure that that we understand the issues from our standpoint.
Mayor, it would be appropriate if you would recognize all of this large crowd in gray shirts here who represent Friends of Island Creek, just as a common courtesy. Can you do that?
I see everybody here. I mean, what is a friend of Island Creek?
A friend of Island Creek is the people, this is the group that is here in gray shirts representing that they support what happened in Island Creek, that they support what the flooding and the fact that a floodgate was closed a week early. And the good city manager says that you follow protocol. The protocol is not followed when you close that gate a week ahead of what the guidelines call for. Back to my point, there's a large group of people here who took a time and effort out of their day to be here to express a point. If you could at least acknowledge that.
Yes, ma'am?
Like Joe said, I live in Owensboro, Kentucky, which is 2 hours away. I do have property here. I've attended several meetings at the Owensboro council meetings or city councils and stuff. They have always gave everybody the right, every person that wanted to speak, to be able to listen to. Because everybody has a different view, a different point. Who knows, you may be missing something that somebody has that you never thought of. So I don't understand why you cannot listen to people tonight.
Well, I understand your point, but because Owensboro is doing it doesn't mean that it's something that we have to do, and this is a...
We're all elected by public.
We all got
How about you?
I'm on Ostrov. Me and my husband's in the wheelchair. We survived the tornado. We went through hell with the tornado. We was in our bed when the tornado hit us. We bought this trailer thinking it was, we didn't know it was in a flood zone. We bought it thinking, hey, we're getting a new place to live. We didn't have nowhere else. We didn't have clothes on our backs when we went through that tornado. Then we moved to the flood zone. I'm going to start crying.
Thank you, everyone, for showing up.
Thank you for the acknowledgement.
Okay, we are going to have an executive session tonight. We will not be taking action, and I would entertain a motion for executive session.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to go into closed session for discussion of matters pertaining to the following topics: issues which might lead to the appointment, dismissal, or disciplining of an employee as permitted by KRS 61.810 subsection 1F.
So moved.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye.
I would invite anyone who would like more answers to the questions that are being presented to circle up outside the public building. I think we're welcome to do that, aren't we, Mayor?
Yes, sir.